Call to order, annual budget hearing. If you could join us, please, in the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Budget hearing.
So tonight is our annual budget hearing for the 24-25 budget. We're going to go over what our curriculum plan is for 24-25, kind of focus a little bit too on what we've accomplished this school year. We're going to go through a recap of our 24-25 revenue and expenditure proposals, pretty much a recap of what we presented at our last board meeting when we adopted the budget. And then we're going to just review what a contingency budget is, what impact it has on the district, should we have to go down that path in a few weeks. So for 23-24 school year, some of our accomplishments that we've seen, direct impact with our students is we've had our robotics team win at their local and regional as well as national competitions. We have had students participate in NYSBTA, which is New York State Band Directors Association. We have TV Award nominees in the past, and I hear that they're announcing on Friday upcoming nominees. So we are hopeful that we will have children represented in that as well going forward from the play that they just did Newsies a few months back. We have the IB continuum, grades K through 12 in all of our buildings. We have AP scholars. We had NAFCON finalists. We've had EnviroCon teams succeed and continue on in their competitions, which we've recognized at our prior board meetings. And this year we had our 5th grade PYP exhibition for the first time take place. In the area of our athletes, we have had, this year we had a U12 scholar athlete, a very prestigious award here on Long Island. We've had our scholar athlete teams, all schools through New York State School Public Health Association, a school of distinction through our sports teams. And we have unified basketball that is up and running, and we're looking to expand on that next year. So for next year, with regards to technology, we're continuing our one-to-one program with Chromebooks. We are replacing Chromebooks that are aging out of our inventory system. We have smart boards that continue to age out and need replacement, so we will be replacing some of those, as well as getting all of our teachers in the elementary school a laptop. So we currently have all grades 6 through 12 teachers have a laptop, so they got rid of all desktops, so now as they move between classes, they just bring their device, plug it in, and they are up and running. And now we're looking to make sure our elementary teachers have that same equity in their learning process. In athletics, we're working on a uniform replacement program for all teams. It is a few years of expenditures that we'll be seeing, but we're starting with next year. Football and lacrosse, we have helmet replacements that are, every year they go out for refurbishing, and sometimes some come back that they just need to be replaced. They are not meeting all safety protocols. However, we're starting to see more and more of that as that equipment is aging out, so we are anticipating a large replacement in those 2 areas. And then we're adding a unified bowling team, a boys swimming team, and a middle school cross-country team to continue that cross-country program, as we have quite a few children aging out of that program, so we're looking to build that up down. And within curriculum, we're maintaining all of our current curriculum programs that we have in place. We're looking to bring back our international travel at our secondary campus. Opportunities for those students back in, I want to say probably 2018 was the last international trip that took place. 2019, 2020, they were supposed to, but COVID happened, so that trip got canceled, and we haven't done one since. So with regards to revenue, how are we funded? We have really three main categories, 4 if you count reserves. State aid is just under 39% of our funding source, our property taxes 48%, and then our tuition revenue. So tuition is coming from our contract with the state for the Native American students, East Mauritius students that come in, special education students from other districts that tuition into our programs as well. And then we do allocate some of our reserves to help offset the expenditures as it relates to those particular reserves, such as teachers' retirement, the employee retirement system, and our unemployment expenditures. With regards to expenses, our salaries are the largest cost, so salaries as well as benefits combined are 75% of our budget. Benefits are negotiated through collective bargaining agreements. As they expire, we look at those to determine what's happening. We are seeing significant cost in benefits as premiums are increasing. As we expected through COVID, we're starting to see that impact the medical field. Our BOCES expenditures are continuing to go up because we are starting to do more and more programs and services through BOCES. And the benefit of that is we get aid back on those services. So we have about a 65% aid ratio on our BOCES services. And everything that we do, our software programs that we contract through them, the lease agreements for the Chromebook and smartboard replacements go through BOCES. And that's also that next year we see the revenue on those devices and that product and that sales. The only area of BOCES we don't get aid on is when we have students attending BOCES for special education services. That is an unaided service because we get aid through the state as a result of that. Transportation, we're seeing increases, and that's driven by consumer price index, as well as just some of our student needs. If we have people that are placed, students that are placed at different BOCES based on their programs, then we do have transportation costs increase as a result. And our debt is just the debt we have on our books from prior bonds that have been approved that we are obligated to repay each year. So we have what's called a three-part budget. An administrative budget, which is 9% of our annual spend. We have an instructional or program budget, which is 80% of our spending. And then we have a capital budget, which is 11%. This is typical in any school district to see this. The majority of your budget should be your program. Your administrative budgets are capped. The state, there is legislation out there, and there's guidance on your how to prepare your budgets from SCD. And you should keep your admin costs under 10%. And we do that on an annual basis, take a look at that to make sure we're meeting those requirements from the state. So our total budget up for a vote is $54,132,914 for the 24-25 school year. So what's this costing the taxpayers? As I said before, revenue is coming in, the majority from property taxes as well as state aid. 48% is funded through the taxpayers. However, we have been making a shift of taking that reliance on our property taxes and over to state aid. As we've seen an increase in state aid over the past couple of years, you can see the lines there. The black lines are what state aid has been, and the red is property taxes. And now reliance on property taxes has gone down significantly over the past couple of years as we move forward and continue to monitor state aid. We look at other ways, how do we make sure we get the best of our money for our expense-based aids. We've contracted with a vendor to help us filing our aid for our students with special needs to make sure we're capturing all costs there and really to help offset that burden with our taxpayers.
Carry on this one. So another way of saying this would be as the combined wealth ratio went up and our aid went up for other reasons, we didn't keep asking for more taxes in addition.
Correct.
We're trying to keep it with.
Yes. So these are projections, highlight projections. These are based on what information we have at this time. 22-23 and the 23-24 are actual numbers. But for the 24-25 school year, we don't have final assessed values or the tax rate just yet. That information doesn't come until the fall. So we kind of take what has the trend been looking like, what's going on in the economy, do we expect assessed values to go up or go down, and then calculate out based on what our levy is, what do we think the impact on the taxpayer is going to be. So we're looking at about $155 increase for the average taxpayer. We are seeing though, as you can see over the past 3 years, it has increased in cost to the taxpayer, but that's because our budget's been going up as our funding from COVID is expiring. So we have been over the past few years working in our plan to absorb the positions we hired with COVID funds in order to make sure we can maintain all the services we're providing to our children. So as a result of that, our budget is going up while the funding is going away, and this is 23-24 is the last year of that funding stream. So we are relying completely on the annual budget. And with state aid being held flat in 24-25 school year, we did see a little bit of an increase on the taxpayer side as a result of that. So just some information, the tax levy cap sets a budget approval. We're within our cap, and by doing that, if you're going within your cap, you need a simple majority, which is 50+1 votes in order to pass your budget. If you pierce your cap, you have to have 60% of your voters approve your budget. So we're within our allowable levy for the 24-25 school year. We are starting to see, if you're reading the papers, hearing the news, watching News 12, that the fiscal cliff is upon us. And a lot of districts with losing COVID money are cutting staff. They're cutting budgets significantly because they didn't plan accordingly to make sure they can roll those positions in and have a financial plan in place. We've been working on and update annually our 4-year financial plan to make sure we can account for this. Right now, there are 5 districts on Long Island that are piercing the cap, 4 of them of which are in Suffolk County, 1 is in Nassau County. So with that, if you pierce the cap, or if you don't get your 50+1 votes, what happens? A lot of people have been asking that over the past few weeks, and so we wanted to kind of just go over what's a contingency budget. A contingency budget is any ordinary contingent expense that provide minimum services to our students. It's to operate and maintain our school buildings for the educational programs, preserve the property of the district, and ensure health and safety of all students and staff. Those are ordinary contingent expenses. The board, in the end, determines what qualifies in those categories. So should a budget not be successful in the first round, we come back to the board and they have a conversation. Do they want to revote their budget? Do they want to revote the same budget, a different budget, or go direct to a contingency budget? And that's where all these guidelines come into play. So if we were to decide to go to a contingency budget operation, some non-contingent expenditures would eliminate our capital construction. So the capital outlay project that we're doing, the $100,000 project that we have been doing for the past few years and plan to do again next year, would be removed and canceled out of the budget. Most equipment purchases would be removed out of the budget. Those that are instructional needed would remain, but all others would come out. And there's certain student supplies that fall in this category as well that would be removed from budget. Again, we have to comply with that administrative cap I mentioned earlier to make sure that we're not exceeding the administrative component of the prior year's budget. So what's currently 23-24's admin cap would have to be remaining for next year. And I can say we are under that cap already in that planning phase. And then at your 24-25, this is where the biggest change happened, especially with the tax levy cap in place. You cannot levy more than what you did in the 23-24 school year. So that's where you see the significant change in a contingency budget.
And that's new, you said, for this year? That regulation?
No, that regulation got put into place when the tax levy law got put into place. So the other major category of conversation is facilities use. It is not allowed under a contingency budget. There is no outside use of our facilities. So organizations such as the Merchants Youth Organization, PTO evening and weekend events, Helping Makes You Happy programming, all those, the dance schools that use our facilities, none of that would be able to occur. They would not be able to use our facilities at all. It's just only ones using our buildings would be our sports and our clubs, as long as they're still up and running, and as long as we're able to meet the guidelines of a contingency budget. So what does this all mean for St. Moritz's directly? Our budget right now, the admin cap for current year, we have to be under 12.8%. We're at 9% right now, so we're fine. Our tax levy remains flat for this year's levy. It's next year, so that's about a $630,000 decrease to next year's budget that would have to happen. Our capital outlay of $100,000 would not occur next year if we were in a contingency budget. Camera upgrades, classroom furniture, some music instrument replacements, athletic equipment that was not health and safety related, as well as some shop class equipment not health and safety related, would get pulled out of the budget. We would have to look at reducing potentially athletic teams. Our new teams, the cross-country, unified bowling, looking at our assistant coaches, would we continue with that uniform allocation for this year? These are all things that we really would have to start considering in order to not hurt the main curricular program. Student supplies, we're looking at about $150,000 reduction over the student supply lines in total in order to meet that contingency number. And then we would also be looking at field trips, whether or not we would continue field trips, but maybe not transport for things such as SCMEA, the parades, robotics, all those other extras that we do are things that would come into conversation to see if we would continue under a contingency budget. So these are all just different categories that the board would have to look at to determine what would they want to do if we landed in this position.
On the capital outlay
Yes.
question, so if in this contingency, we would sort of save that 100,000, we would still be getting reimbursed for this year's capital?
Yes.
outlay?
Yes,
So by extension, then 25, 26, we would not get reimbursed.
and we'd be back at the beginning of starting 100,000 again.
Okay,
Yes,
so cascades.
correct. Any other questions on contingency? So just a reminder, the vote is 2 weeks from yesterday. It's from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Location has changed. It is at the high school library. It is not at the Main Street gym. Again, location has changed. It is at the high school library. A yellow postcard mailer has gone out to residents. It was in the budget brochure. It will be on the website. We will have lawn signs. We will have security posted to make sure everybody is fully aware of the location change. The ballot, there is 2 parts to the ballot, the school district budget, vote either yes or no. And that's just allowing a spend of $54 million. And then the other is to elect a board member. We have 1 seat that is open. Mr. Maxwell is not running for his term. He has decided to finish out his obligation here. So we do have Mr. Brian Kennedy running to fill that seat, and then there's also an opportunity for write-in ballots if so choose. So that is what your ballot will look like. You will have 2 parts of that ballot to fill out. The ballot this year, we're told, is going to look a little different. Spanish and English will be on 1 ballot form. In the past, it was if you were Spanish, you needed to get a separate one. But Board of Elections has told us that they are putting it all on 1 ballot. We haven't seen it yet, right? We still haven't gotten it yet. But that is just a little change in the look of what that ballot is going to look like. Any questions from the board?
If we were to have to be in a contingency budget for capital construction projects, the slide with the title contingency budget, what constitutes like a capital construction project? I know you said that you would prioritize things related to health and safety.
Right, so the capital outlay, we were gonna be doing the bathroom in Clayton Huey, the 5th grade girls' bathroom is supposed to get done. That would not occur. That's one project that would be removed. The others would remain, so we do have in there to replace rooftop units, and that's because they are failing and that's a health and safety issue, so those would be able to remain to be replaced. So that's really the only those are the only capital projects we have in next year's. The big thing is really equipment. So we have money allocated for the shop class to replace some equipment that's starting to age out. The music department looking at new choral risers, replacement of equipment that is, starting to need more and more repairs and becoming irreparable. So it would be those type of things. We have classroom furniture that we're continuously buying and replacing.
Is there anything that we're worried about not being up to code or dangerous that would?
No, and that's stuff that would fall under the health and safety that we could justify if this, as you're audited and looked at, and we could say, no, this was clearly a health and safety issue, which is why we had to keep it within the contingency lines.
And one other question is, you mentioned also under contingent budget, that we can't use our auditorium for things like recitals. What is that brings revenue in, correct?
It does, yes, but you're still not allowed to at all. There's no provision for outside facilities used under contingency budget.
When did that stop?
When did what stop?
When did that stop announcing?
For contingency budget?
Yeah.
That's been in place for as long as I can remember.
Well, I remember my son having, in the LJI room, he did his piano, with, Jimmy Osborne.
Yeah.
So he would have to rent the piano.
We haven't been under contingency.
We haven't been under a contingency budget. That's only if you're in a contingency on the budget.
Budget fails. Teach raise and increase from last year.
So that's just one stipulation of a failed budget.
Right now, outside agencies can use our facilities. We allow, depending on board.
And I had one other question on tuition. Do we allow tuition from kids from other towns to come here, like if they wanted to, if there ever been a request for that?
There has been, and it's a case-by-case situation. The board makes that determination as those are presented to us, and we enter into contractual agreements for those. Yeah. Anything else? Anything general public? Anybody, questions from the general public on the budget?
What would be the worst case scenario for the contingency budget? How much would drop off?
Just about $630,000 has to be cut in order to comply with the tax levy. And then you find those from all those different categories that you have to remove, and then whatever's left is what we would have to start looking at to see what we would have to reduce. So again, budget brochure has been mailed, hopefully you've received them. If you haven't, they are available on the website. Everything's posted on the budget page of the website. All the voter information, absentee ballots are now available in the district clerk's office. Please feel free to reach out to Ms. Barr on getting yourself an absentee ballot if you're not here the day of the vote. And please come out and vote 7 to 9 at the high school library, not at the Main Street gym. Please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appointment of election inspectors. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the appointment of the following individuals for the May 21st, 2024 budget vote election, each at $16 per hour. So, Jessica Donato, Roberta Hart, Patricia Hughes, Judy Martins, Jacqueline Messenio, thank you. Leslie Murray, paid regular salary, time over 7 hours, was overtime. Robert Romano, Ninos Kostivsky, Maria Trudate. Okay, motion,
Motion.
second. Discussion. All in favor? Yes, motion carries unanimously. The budget vote and election will be held Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. And I believe there's been a location change.
Yes.
Terry? The high school library at 311 Furline Road, Central Bridges. Our next Board of Ed meeting is Wednesday, May 22nd. Exec session at 6 o'clock, action meeting at approximately 7, regular in the morning. We're going to motion to executive session now. When we come out, there will be no action. So motion to move into executive session, the purpose for which is to discuss personnel and collective bargaining agreements. Motion.
Motion.
Second.